In this film, I'm going to explain and show you how a Lino Reduction print is created. As the name implies, the piece of lino is reduced step by step, or rather color by color throughout the process. This also means that when I've finished cutting the lino, I've printed the entire edition, or the number of prints I will get, as the lino is now reduced to its last color and can't be used again. I start by creating my image. I like to draw freehand onto the lino. After having done some preliminary sketches, it keeps the image fresh and leaves room for changes. My style of working is not very planned. The very process of printmaking is by nature full of planning, so I prefer to leave the actual creating of the image very loose to counteract that. Once I've finished drawing on the lino plate, I make my registration template. Registration means that the piece of printing paper has to be in the same place every time I print. I take great care over this, as it'll ensure that the image is registered correctly, color by color. I don't get too obsessive though, as time and time again I've seen how a slight misregistration can give a result that's very interesting. I now go on to cut my printing paper. For lino, I print on dry printmaking paper. The paper has to be cut to exact size, again for getting the best possible registration as I move along the printing process. After all my preparations are done, I'm now ready to start the actual cutting of the lino. Lino cutters are sharp, small knives, usually V or U-shaped in different sizes, to give different thickness of line in the image. As I cut, I also take advantage of the distinct mark that the knives make, which can be seen when the plate is printed. As a general rule, I cut in the direction of the image. I start by cutting away the areas that I want to remain white. Once they are cut away, I go on to the first step of my printing. I'm rolling up the plate in my first color, the acid green of the bamboo leaves. When the number of prints I intend to print are done, I move on to the second step. I now cut away all the areas that I want to remain the green I just printed. I also look at possible other uses for the acid green in conjunction with the subsequent colors to be laid on the print. This can be seen in the chameleon, where I will use small areas of the green to offset coming colors. I tend to mix my colors as I go along, not being too prissy about color choice. I like the serendipity involved in not being too planned. When I've cut away my green areas, I move on to rolling up the plate in the second color, the ochre of the bamboo itself. Here I'm cutting away the areas I want to remain ochre, the bamboo, cutting along the stems. Remember how I told you it's possible to get an interesting effect from the ridges that the cutting tool leaves. I also save some ochre for the chameleon. The next step is to roll on the terracotta color. It's interesting to see how the image is starting to develop on the print. More cutting as I remove the lino in the spaces I want to remain terracotta. I move on to the cerulean blue I've chosen for the chameleon. I also decide to take advantage of the colour to offset some of the already existing colours. By using a big roller, I can also determine the amount of ink I want to deposit on the paper, and this is where results can vary quite a lot from print to print, truly making them original prints. The last colour to be applied is the dark violet blue. Being a particular colour favourite of mine, it really brings the print to life. My Lino Reduction print is now finished. The entire edition is printed. As you can see, there is really not much left of the lino plate. Certainly no more valid prints can be printed from it. Reduction printing takes a great deal of concentration. If I start daydreaming, I end up with this. A print that misregisters. As you can see, I'm not exactly pleased. Remember, I've already decided on the number of prints I'm going to print, and here I just lost one of them. Once the print is dry, I number it in the left-hand corner and sign in the right-hand corner.